Welcome back, everybody. My name is Chase and this is Janknation. In the last episode, you would have noticed that we worked all the way into the night. We mostly took everything apart, but we still got a lot of work to do. I'm not completely sure that we'll get things coated with PR15 in this episode or not, because there's still a little bit of bolts and there's some very problematic star bits that are very difficult to take apart, specifically on the rear trailing arms. These star bits are very old and they're very rusty, so they're very hard to take apart. I am going to attempt to take those apart. Also, I was under the impression that on the internet, someone said that CRV axles will fit into Integra Type R rear hubs. It's looking like that these Integra hubs are not actually, it seems like they're just bearings, that there's no actual, there's one here that you can see, but it doesn't actually look like there's a piece that goes in the back that plugs into here. It's I don't know, this piece, and it's got a bolt on each end. It goes to the back and then all the way to the front, and there's 2 bolts on each side. It doesn't look like, from what I can tell, that has splines. And when I looked at some of the replacement parts for these Integra Type R rear 5-lug hubs, I didn't see any one that had actually splines in them. So I'm under the impression that the only way to get the rear spline is to actually buy CRV rear knuckles, and they will actually bolt into this. And then I'm imagining that I will do some hole drilling on the backside to actually make sure that the CV axle can fit through here and not bind up on any of this metal around here. But that's not really something that I'm going to do now, because really all I want to do is get this stuff in a condition where I can coat it with some PR15 and not have to worry about it for a while. Plus, I'm going to be rebuilding the brake calipers completely. I am a little bit disappointed because I don't have a bearing press, and without a bearing press, it's going to be near impossible to actually take the dust shielding off of the front spindle knuckle. So I'm not too happy about that, because I'm the type of guy that when I get into something and I do it, I want to go all the way 100%. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to. I'm going to have to basically buff around some of these pieces in the dust shield, and it'll be okay. But it's not the way I like to do things, so I'm not going to be happy about that. But that's just the way it has to be for now, so I'm going to have to live with it. At a later time, get a bearing press, I can come back and press out the hub and then go ahead and detail everything as much as I want to. But I'm going to do the best job I can with the tools that I have. So that's what we're going to do in this episode. We're going to be basically taking these the rest of the way apart. I have RSX Type S front axles. I'm going to see if these fit in these splines to make sure that these are the correct splines. I think they are, but just to double check, I got 2 new axles. So I'm going to go ahead and check those out, make sure those work. I have to disassemble these rear hubs a little bit more, and I will have to take off the ABS sensors because these came off a car that had ABS. I don't need ABS anymore. So let's drop the intro and let's get started. Excuse the plane right now. So before we go any further with these bad boys, I have a brand new RSX Type S axle here. This is a little rusty, but so that works. All right. So uh-oh. That's right. So the axles are correct, so the front hubs are correct, so that's good. So I wasn't able to get this cotter pin loose the last day I was working on it. Right now I actually got it to twist left and right in there, so I think I'll be able to get this out finally. Oh my God. Wow, that only took forever. All right, so now we're gonna jump into the time lapse where I'm gonna bust all the continuing things loose that need to come loose. And then we're gonna go ahead and get into the process of cleaning, prepping POR14. So let's go ahead and start rolling that time lapse. So we have taken everything apart that could come off without too much hassle. We took off the ESP sensors that were in the back. We took off the front nut and the back nut on this little junction that goes in between the rear trailing arm. The only issue I'm having, did I ever tell you how much I hate torque spits? They're not that bad. The problem is when they get rusted or when they're made out of aluminum. So the only way that I can figure to get these loose is using a torch. So that's what we're going to try right now. Let's go ahead and get started. I hate using torches in the sunlight because you can never see them. Dangerous. Just gonna try and do one at a time right now. Man, this is horrible. Horrible. All right. So you guys can't really see it too good, but this is sad. Very sad. So these torque spits suck so bad that this one actually stripped out. So, unfortunately, the only way that I can do this is to drill these out. Unfortunately, right now, I didn't buy the other knuckles. So what would have to happen is I'd have to drill these torque spits out, and then it would make no sense to me to replace it with the same things that are not suitable for the all-wheel drive conversion that's going to happen in the future. So I would actually need to buy the CRV, the whole CRV setup that's going to go back here from the all-wheel drive CRV knuckles. So I'm kind of dead in the water as it sits right now for taking these apart. What I wanted to do, and the correct way to do this, and I'm not going to be able to do it unfortunately, but I really wanted to, was to totally disassemble these pieces, take these knuckles off, everything, get everything as clean as I can without sandblasting it. I don't have a sandblasting cabinet. That would be the 100% correct correct way to do it, would be to sandblast these in a sandblast cabinet after totally disassembling these pieces 100% completely, and then recoating them after that, and then putting them back together. So because that's not going to happen, both of these pieces are basically disassembled as much as I can disassemble them here without having to buy more parts, more equipment, and stuff like that, which it's not really a good thing, but it's not really a super bad thing either, because realistically I can, you know, just patch these things back up and put them right back on the car. The other good thing is the pieces that I would buy later to replace these, that would actually make these be able to have the all-wheel drive, the axle go through here for the all-wheel drive, would be replacing all the pieces that are rusted right now anyway. So in the future, when I actually do that, what I'm going to have to do is drill through these nut heads right here, all these torque spits, and replace them with something that's not a Torx 100%, and then put on the CRV 100%, the CRV stuff. But since we can't do that right now, basically we're going to get everything ready for the POR. So basically what you saw me guys do was break everything down, go over everything with this wire wheel, basically knocking all the bubbly type of rust, kind of the scaly stuff. And I got to a point where I'm happy with it. Obviously, because this couldn't get broken down as much as I like, there's going to be nooks and crannies where, you know, I'm just not going to be able to get to until I get a bearing press and until I press these out. I am hoping that these will be okay for now, for getting me by for just maybe the first year or so. That's putting a lot of faith on the bearings that are in these already, so we'll see. If not, you know what I mean? All right, then I'll need to buy a bearing press. At this point in time, I just don't have the money in the budget to buy the bearing press, so I really don't want to do that. So now what we have to do is, this is the lower front subframe. On this back side, you can't really see it, but it's a little greasy, so I don't really want to get all into the grease that is back here without putting some cleaner on that. Basically everything I read for POR 15 says that you need to prep all the pieces with a degreaser or some type of cleaner material. Basically let it soak, keep it wet, and then you need to follow that up with a coat of a type of a metal prep. So I did buy the POR 15 metal prep. However, I didn't feel that I needed to buy the POR 15 degreaser when I can use a comparable, very cheap degreaser from Dollar Tree, which is LA, totally awesome. I mean, it's not the best, but it's not horrible either, and at only $1 a bottle, you know, that's fine for me. So now we're gonna degrease this part. We're going to get most of it clean as we can. What I do not want to do, I have a brush in my bag over there, and I'm going to be brushing these down while I'm spraying the degreaser on them to kind of get some of this stuff. Obviously has layers and layers of soot on it. That's been there from years and years and years. So I kind of want to use the brush on the parts that aren't that bad first, and then go ahead and hit this part last with that brush, because it's the most greasy. These parts are greasy, but they're not as greasy as this. So I kind of don't want to cross-contaminate. So we'll see how that goes. so for the most part, I have these parts cleaned. I cleaned them with LA Awesome, brushed them a good amount, decently enough. So now I have the POR 15 metal prep. Says it's a zinc. Removes light surface rust from all metals, allows for better welding conductivity, is reusable, coats with zinc phosphate, and creates the best base for adhesion for POR 15. Almost sounds like weld through primer, right? Isn't zinc primer weld through? I don't know, I don't get it. If that's the case, then I just should have probably used weld through primer. I'm not sure. But this you can either spray on or brush on. It says to keep the piece soaked with this stuff for, depending on the condition of the piece, 30 minutes or 15 to 20 minutes. So I'm going to go with about 15 to 20 minutes. I am running out of light, so I'm not sure how far I'm going to get today. So we'll see. I'm going to coat these pieces. I am going to use a brush because I have a bunch of chip brushes for the POR 15. I'm going to use this dirty table because I don't care about it. And we're going to see how it goes. So let's get started. Alright, so as far as I can tell, it seems like it's kind of, it definitely seems like it's etching. So I can notice in this one in particular, this did have some surface rust on it, but as you can see, it's kind of fading away. So it definitely is self-etching, and it is getting in there. It is doing some type of chemical reaction with the raw metal pieces itself. I'm not sure how well it's going to work on actually most of this, which is painted. I think it'll still work okay. The POR 15 should stick to it pretty well. So right now what I'm going to do, obviously I'm running out of light. It's just not feasible for me to finish these pieces and paint them today. So what I am going to do in this video, I am going to finish cleaning the front cross member and start to get that coated with the, clean it all the way and then prep it with the POR 15 metal prep. And then tomorrow, or in the next video, I'm going to be doing the coating these with the POR 15 and also coating the brake calipers and the gas clutch and brake pedal. can probably get by with the ones that are on the car right now, but I just don't think it's worth it for me to go through all the trouble and get those when I can buy them brand new with new bushings in them. And even the crappy eBay ones are of a okay quality and they'll last me for a little while. So I'm gonna get this all packed up. See you tomorrow.